Hello everyone. So today, since Valentine is just around the corner, I thought I'll share two very quick and easy love themed cards that you can, of course, customize depending on your requirements. So they can make anniversary cards, they can make Valentine cards, and so much more. So this is the stencil that I'll be using, which we'll be using to create those couple silhouettes. And in the start, the photo I showed you was the inspiration behind the colors that I'll be using to create the backdrop. Now, this stencil is not just for card makers. This stencil technically can be used even by artists who create watercolor or acrylic painting backgrounds. And then, if not everybody can draw good people. So, the stencil is there to make your life easier. That was the whole concept. So, for this particular two cards, what I'll be doing is I'll be using distressing to blend the colors, and I'll be using my stencil as well with distressing and my blending brushes. Again, as with all my videos, the products that I talk about and use will be linked below along with the color shades, names, etc. so that it's easier for you to find. I'm using Craftangle's dual textured white cardstock for ink blending, and you can see how easy it was to ink blend the colors, and I'm not putting a lot of effort in the same. Now to add splashes of water, I'm just using a small sprayer bottle to create the mist like effect on top of my painting, and you can see the distance I have kept between the sprayer and the paper. Now once this is dry, we will start stenciling on top of this the couple that we want to keep as the focal point of our card. So for that, first I'll start adding the grass because I want my couple to be standing on something, and for that I'm using this same stencil. As you can see, there are two border edges provided in the stencil. One is grass and the other is cloud. So it comes very handy when you want to create such kind of scene kind of a cards. So here you can see the grass border that's been created, and now I'll be using the couple for creating the main focal point of my card. So what I'm doing is basically I have selected one couple that I want to use as the focal point, and then around that I'm just adding some scrap pieces to mask the surrounding areas because I don't want my ink to bleed through those surrounding areas onto my card. I just want the couple itself. So that is why I'm masking the surrounding area. And then I'll be using my ink blending brushes, and in this case I'll be using the black distressing to add the whole silhouette effect. So this is how the silhouette has turned out, and you can see how easy it is to clean the stencils, to clean the residue ink. This is because distress ink are water reactive, and if you use things like texture paste etc through the stencils, you have to clean your stencils under running water to make sure they clean thoroughly. Now here I wanted to add some stars, and for that I'm using a newly launched shimmer paste by Craftangle. So this is Unicorn Dreams. Now I could have used clear texture paste, and they would have given me that starry kind of a background. However, I wanted to create that shimmery effect because I wanted to create the whole dreamy Valentine kind of a scene. So that is why I am using this particular stencils. And even though I think the pictures and the video did not do justice on how shiny and beautiful it looks, in real person it is extremely shiny and very pretty. So now on top of it, I'm just adding some love sentiments. So these are pre-printed sentiment sheets by Craftangles, and I've just used them and stick them on top of my card using some foam dimensional tape. So it's just a very quick way to add sentiment to your card, your painting, etc. And for especially for those who don't own stamps, because I wanted to keep my first card very simple where you can do things with minimal supplies. So technically in this entire card I have only used two stencils and some distressings. That's it. Now for the card base, I'm using these pre-packaged notelets that you get. Again, these are by Craftangles. They come in 2 GSM, which is 230 and 300 GSM. So what these notelets are basically a card base and a matching envelope that you can use to create a card. So once I was happy with how everything turned out, I just sticked my card base on top of the notelet, and that completed my first card. Now moving on to my second card of the day using the same stencils. I start off with Craftangle's masking paper. So I cut this to a same size as my card base, which is A2 card base. And then I'll be doing some die cutting to create my own mask. Now I could have used the ready-made heart masking stencils, but again, the idea of this particular tutorial was to use things you already have, so not everybody may have a masking stencil. So what you can do is you can always create your own. It is a bit more time consuming. However, if you don't plan to do a lot of masking every time, then it is a easier way out. So here I am using stitched hard die in the size that I want based on the size of my couple, and then I'm cutting this through my masking paper. And the machine that I'll be using for die cutting is my Cuttlebug machine. Again, whatever products that I have used, the link of all the products is in the description of the video in case you are curious. So what this will do is basically here I'm creating my own custom mask on which I'll be doing some ink blending, and basically I'll be creating a heart shaped scene. So it may look like you are doing creating a multiple layered card. However, it's just one layer scene card that I'm trying to create. So I'll not be using the positive die cut, rather I'll be using this negative die cut which has created this heart shaped window. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my card base. This is again the same size, A2 card size, and what I'll do is I'll line up the mask with the card base. So that will automatically make sure that my heart is centered, because while die cutting I kind of eyeballed everything. Again, no perfect measurement, I have kind of eyeballed everything together. So now my mask is stuck on the top of the paper. I'll start doing some ink blending on top of the paper. So for this again I'll start with the same. I'll be using the grass border. However, instead of doing black silhouette like how I did in my previous card for today, what I have done is I have kind of created the whole colored scene. So this is kind of like a summary card, that I have created very fresh and subtle colors. So I have created this layered grasses, and then I'll move on to create the whole cloudy backdrop. So the clouds I wanted to keep a bit light because my couple will be standing in front of it. So the cloud, I just wanted to create that subtle cloud kind of an effect. So not a lot of so you can see while applying my ink also I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm keeping very light hand while applying the colors. Again, all the colors that I'm using will be linked below for those of you who are interested. And now here you can see how easy it was to create that whole grass border and cloud look. And then I'm selecting which couple I want and in which angle I want them to place, etc. And then I'll be doing the same thing that I did in my previous card, using some scrap piece of paper and using this Wendy Vecchi tool, which has made my life really simple because of the magnetic base and the magnets. What I have done is I have masked the surrounding couples, and I'm only inking the couple that I want. And so this is to ensure that while I'm applying the black ink on top of the couple, it does not go into the other areas, so the color does not seep into the other areas and get added to my card. So here I'm just adding that black ink, and that will be it, a very basic simple scene that I have created, which is actually one layered, but it will look pretty and it looks dimensional even though it's one layered. And again, you can see how easy it was to clean the stencils. All I did was just spray it with some water, and I have cleaned the stencil. Now I wanted to add some shimmer on top of it. As I said, this card is very like pretty and subtle kind of a card. So it is very summery card, bottom line. So I wanted to just add some shimmer for some added fun. So here I am using another newly launched Craftangles product. So this is watercolor pans, and the color that I am using is gold, and I'm just adding some droplets of it just for some added interest. So again, I don't think so that you are seeing the same in the video once it is dry. So you may probably not see how shiny it is, but in real life it is extremely shiny. So just like how in our previous card we used the texture paste to add shine using the star stencil, here I am adding the same using some gold and some watercolors. So again, the same concept but the different use. So here, instead of using a pre-printed sentiment, I decided let's do some stamping just for some difference between the two cards. So essentially I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding sentiment on top of my card, but instead of using a pre-printed sentiment, I'm using a stamp to do the same. So this is one of my favorite stamps and one of my favorite quote, and that is what I have used. It says, "You are in my thoughts." And again, that will complete my card, a very simple card base, and I will use the same vertical notelets, the same that I used for the previous card, and as my card base, and I'll call this card done. So those were the two cards for today, guys, using the same stencil. And I just for some different interest, what I did was I added masking in one, and the other one I kept it plain. Both of them used distress inks for ink blending. So again, similar technique but different ways, just to show you that how different the two cards can look using the same supplies. So I hope this video gave you some ideas on how you can make very quick Valentine cards, or even anniversary cards, wedding cards, etc. I'll leave you with close-ups and screenshots of all the two cards that we created today. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, don't forget to like and comment. Do consider subscribing to my channel. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Till then, take care. Bye guys. Bye bye.